clearly and openly. And there's no denial on his part of his role in the Tate LaBianca murders, that he sent those people in that house to commit a bloodbath.
Where'd you hear that? I can show you 20 years of quotes.
Where you've heard that.
Are you saying that Charlie Manson is a rational mind? Are you saying this man is not a murderous psychotic? Is that what you're saying?
By your point of view, of course not.
Now, you see, what I find interesting
go ahead.
is my father is now suddenly lumped into these ranks, because all around me I hear now that my father is just like Manson and just like Hitler, and now I'm beginning to question.
No,
you
you don't. Many people
But this is a common opinion, and now I'm beginning to question why. Why is my father so much like Manson, and why is he considered so much like Hitler, and why is he considered so much like even Rasputin, who completely turned the Russia upside down? And now I'm beginning to realize that maybe there are two sides to every story, and maybe if you examine the other sides that you don't hear about, you learn something that is a little more illuminating.
Zena, I don't find it terribly surprising that there should be some analogies between your father and people like Rasputin. It seems pretty reasonable to me in terms of the ideology that he set forth. It really is a get yours first, don't look out for the other guy, Machiavellian kind of philosophy.
Well, that's right. But also you were referring to other people in history that I was saying you have to consider both sides of every story.
There's another side to Hitler?
Do you think there's only one side to anything?
Guy killed 6 million people.
And that's all you know, and that's all you have to know.
No, I know much more about Hitler than that, but in terms of determining his moral place in history, I don't have any problem.
Now, we're in the same position.
Who determines the moral place? Who determines it? Who has the right to determine what is good and evil?
Well, of course, I would respond from the standpoint of the Christian ethic, but even a humanist sitting in this chair.
I don't like humanists any more than Christians.
You don't like humanists either?
Humanists, you have to understand this once and for all. Christians must know Satanism is not humanism. Humanism is based on Christian ethics and ideas. It just doesn't have Christ, but it has the same appalling ideas about equality, love for everybody, indiscriminate love for all living things, and we oppose those ideas.
Altruism, humanitarianism,
Humanism and Christianity are in bed together. They're the same thing.
Well, the humanists might not appreciate that, but I hear where you're coming from.
Of course they wouldn't.
A white witch or
and
as
far as I'm concerned, there's Satanism and then there's other people.
Yeah, your father in the satanic rituals really puts out some zingers at the witches who want to be white witches. He says there really is no such thing. A witch is a witch is a witch.
That's right. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. Now there's where I do agree with your father. Yes.
I think you would find that you do agree on a lot of principles with the satanic philosophy, if you clearly understood and looked at it. We are saying that the act
I don't know if I'd carry that far.
In the sense that the act of manipulating and using the will and using ritual to create change is, by any definition, satanic. And anyone who does that is at least an ipso facto Satanist. So these witches that say they're good witches, white witches, nice witches, are as hypocritical as a Christian to me.
Your father also says in the Satanic Witch, quote, of psychics who say, God gave me the gift, these people are playing the devil's game but refusing to use the devil's name.
Well, that's right. Wouldn't you consider any form of divination or faith healing or
divination
reading
is biblically forbidden. I would consider it to be satanic.
So we would say that anything that would fall under that category would be considered satanic. And it's not just us. I mean, this has been throughout history. And predating Christianity, there have always been those who have veered from the mainstream, whatever that mainstream was, who have gone out in the wilderness and built shacks to live in, to be away from the mainstream and live their own lives the way they feel they ought to.
Well, the one thing I can say, you Satanists are certainly more honest than most witches when it comes to acknowledging the authenticity, the reality of what you're doing.
We're not, as I was saying, you might not like what we have to say, but we are honest. I mean, we don't claim to be anything that we aren't.
Well, speaking of honesty, before we get off Charlie Manson, Do you want to talk about what happened August 8, 1988 in San Francisco?
Well, I wrote a book called The Manson File, and I've interviewed Charles Manson.
I want to talk about the ritual you held in the theater.
Yeah. Nickolas coordinated that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And when the movie showed...
Let me explain what happened. The Other Side of Madness, a film that was made in 1970, an exploitation film, was shown. And of course, as everyone has reported in the national media, the audience cheered during the murder sequence.
Well, this is a bloody murder sequence. I mean, this was when Sharon
it's a
Tate's body is
recreation
slit
of
open and her
Right.
child, her unborn child, is removed. And
No,
blood
that didn't happen, but that's a fine point. But yes, it was a bloody murder.
The audience cheered.
Mm-hmm.
Nickolas,
Have you been to a Friday the 13th movie?
Unfortunately, but yet, Nickolas, you're sitting there so calm.
What do you want me to do? Cry? What do you want me to do? Have remorse and break down in
And
tears?
this is what I find interesting.
What is the proper reaction
you won't
from a
say
Christian
that
point?
Hitler is evil. You sit there calmly. You want us...
What do you want? What's the right thing to do from the Christian point of view? Should I moan and whine about it?
Isn't this what you expect
We're
of
looking at
us?
human nature. If you can't accept it, that's your problem. I can.
Murder is always part of human nature.
Is it wrong?
It
Is it wrong?
has-
Is it wrong to
What is
murder?
wrong?
Are you going to change it?
Is it wrong to murder?
Is it
Zena,
wrong
is it
to-
wrong to murder?
As it says in the Satanic Bible, can you love the blood-splashed jaws that rend you limb from limb? Is that wrong? Can you love and feel...
You haven't answered me.
I
Is it
am
wrong?
answering you.
Is it wrong to murder?
Depends
Will
on the
you answer me
circumstances.
and
No, you answer the question. Is it wrong to murder?
what is wrong? Murder is part of life.
We're telling you, we don't believe
I mean,
in good, evil, right, wrong dichotomy. If I come at you and you kill me in self-defense, is it wrong? Should you sacrifice
What is
yourself?
murder?
No, wait a minute.
Murder can't be
That's not
any,
murder.
Murder is no more wrong. Well, there, you're deciding.
Murder
what
is no more
okay,
wrong
then
than
you're
what?
deciding,
You're deciding
what
what
murder
it is. What is it then? Define everything if you
All
want
I'm
to
saying
debate
is
it
there
clearly.
always has
Zena, we
been
got
murder.
6,000 years of human history to define what murder is.
That's right. So how are we
Killing
going to
is a
define it
part
here?
of animal behavior. Humans do it
Well, now,
more
you
than
see,
others.
I don't really believe that I would need to worry about walking down a dark alley and being followed by either of you
Absolutely
with
right.
a gun in your pocket. But what you have just said,
Here's, let me finish.
Let me finish. What
scenario
you have
to
just said, articulated to the masses, particularly in a dysfunctional society where people are filled with all types of anger and rage because of past abuses, what you're really doing, I think, is potentially lighting a fuse. I'm not worried that you're going to pull a gun out of your pocket and shoot me in front of these cameras,
what we're
but
saying
I
is we
don't.
have to
But
examine
I don't know
why
that somebody
society
else
is
might
the
not
way
do
it
that
is.
because
Okay,
of what you
first
said.
place.
You're
Okay,
not
let me-
willing to condemn murder.
Let me answer your questions in 3 points. The masses. We have no regard for the masses. Satanism is a religion for the elite. It is a religion for leaders. It's a religion for competent people. It's not a religion for anyone who wants to be a Satanist. We don't say welcome
The homeless,
to the
the
club.
handicapped, those with
I don't
multiple
care.
sclerosis
I
need
don't
not
want
apply.
the homeless, the handicapped.
The
That's
people
your
in
job.
Mother Teresa's home
You've
for the
take-
dying and the
you've take-
destitute, they need not apply.
I don't want
Why
them. You've
should they?
taken that on your shoulders. That's your job. You're doing a great job with the homeless. You help everyone. We're helping those who help themselves, as it says in your Bible. And you can take the weak.
No, it doesn't say that in the Bible.
You can take the decrepit. You can take people who can't help themselves. We don't want them. It's simple. It's very
All
simple.
we're saying is if
The
you,
homeless you don't want to shelter?
No, I don't want to shelter people who can't take care of themselves. Why
You
can't
shelter
they?
The hungry, the
homeless
starving,
and you
don't
have
want to
more.
feed? Zena, go ahead, Zena. What were you saying?
that produces more of the same. There has to be some change. If you look at the animal kingdom, how is the animal kingdom able to survive? There is no such thing as homeless.
Back to social Darwinism again. In the animal kingdom, you preserve what is strong.
Hang on.
You give more food to the stronger animal.
Until humans
you don't
intervene
feed the
and start
weaker
killing
one.
the animals.
I'm trying to...
There's no welfare in the
Nickolas,
animal
I'm
world.
trying to remain as academically detached as I possibly can.
It's not an academically
But what you're
detached
saying
question.
is so absolutely disgustingly outrageous. Now,
And
just
to
wait,
me-
just wait a minute. Let me.
To you,
To me,
Zena,
it's disgustingly outrageous
Zena.
that you would help these weak people who are draining our resources, who are causing so many problems. We could be doing positive things in the world.
Zena, I want to ask
These
you.
weaklings are taking away
Yeah,
all of our
well,
energy
that's-
and resources. And you've decided to help them. That's disgusting to me.
You've never been to a refugee camp.
Why would I possibly want to go to a refugee camp?
Zena, I've been
You have
there.
this
I wanna ask
masochistic
Zena.
love for
She's a woman.
weakness.
And what do you think that'll gain you?
Because
You wanna ask me?
women have
Oh,
more
'cause women
sensitive
are
natures.
soft.
I just want to make sure it isn't this firm resolve of this
If
man
you
who's
think
over.
that you're going to get a soft reaction from me because I'm a woman, then you
I'm
won't.
not. If you were in an Ethiopian famine camp,
What would
You
I be
would-
doing there?
you
Isn't
would
that the
not-
problem of the Ethiopian government, to take care of their own people? Why should we be taking care
no,
of
I tell you what it's the
them?
problem of. It's the problem of a communist totalitarian ideology in the Mengistu government that put those people in the place.
I agree with you there.
Well,
sir,
that's
a philosophy
fine, so
of
that's fair.
dialectical materialism, a communist me-first
No, but-
philosophy
oh,
that is
nonsense. Let
not
me-
far from what you've said.
See,
now,
that's-
just
okay,
wait,
let's
wait,
put
wait.
it back on an
let's-
academic
no,
level.
no, let's get back to the refugee camp.
Okay, now,
You don't. I want to ask Zena. Zena, you don't want to feed starving people. You want them to die. That's what you're telling
Now,
me.
I like your salesman technique of putting words in people's
Well,
mouth.
then you speak for yourself.
Did I ever say I want them to die? I'm saying, why do they exist in the first place?
Would you feed them?
Why would they be allowed
Would
to
you raise
exist?
money? Would you do what you could to collect the resources to feed them?
Would a wolf raise money to collect resources
For the
to feed
whelps of the land.
a monkey in the tree?
Just yes or no, would you?
I'm using analogies. No, of course I wouldn't. If I did that, wouldn't they become more and more dependent on me and less dependent on themselves?
No, not
Well, why is
necessarily.
well, that hasn't been proven yet.
No,
so.
not necessarily.
Well, if you look at the welfare state we have and the people who are on welfare,
What are
isn't
they
it
doing
true
to
that there are
improve their lot?
generations of
Nothing.
there are generations of welfare recipients?
I
it's not
understand
like
that.
it's not like just a
no,
temporary thing.
no one's defending welfare.
Well, but it's all the
Here's-
same
look,
concept.
But
to
we're
me,
talking about
you
people.
just-
No. We're not talking about either lazy people or incompetent people.
Incompetent people.
No,
Yes, we are.
sir.
The Ethiopian government is incompetent.
But the people who suffer the starvation did
Why
not.
do we have a responsibility to help them unless we believe this nonsense in the Bible?
Because they're
if we're realists, we
because they're
don't
human
have any.
beings. Because they feel pain. Because they suffer. Because they hurt. Does not the hurt and pain
That
of
isn't
another
enough. That isn't enough reason
does
for
not the hurt and suffering of another human being at all touch your-
if the human being is worthy
So
of
what
my
you're
attention. I love people who are worthy of my love. That's very few.
And what you're saying
People
is
who
we
are
have-
strong, I admire them. I'll help them. I won't help people who are weak.
And
Okay.
what you're saying is we have to take the responsibility of other people's actions upon ourselves when we've done nothing, absolutely nothing, to have that result. We didn't do anything to
Does that
promote.
matter? They hurt. I mean, they're in pain. Does it matter? Does it matter? They hurt. I mean, you hurt. You call yourself an animal, but you hurt. You cut your finger. You bleed. You
And we take care
trip
of
and
it.
fall
We
and
take
break
care
your
of
leg.
it. Where's the
but you-
social agency that helps hurt Satanists? It doesn't exist. We help ourselves. And we encourage the same kind of self-discipline.
Well, you go to
and
the
fortitude.
same hospitals I can
And
go
let me
to.
tell you something. When I go to a hospital, they see I'm dressed in black. They look at what they call occult symbolism, and they say, "Oh, you're a Satanist." I get treated last. That's because
Well,
you.
you've chosen to wear the.
And I'm proud of it. I'm not complaining. I'm
And
saying,
well, why don't they
look
say,
at the
"Oh,
reality
you're
of the
wearing
world.
a camel hair blazer. You're a Christian. Why should we?"
I wouldn't.
I'm not asking
I
for
wouldn't
help.
treat you last.
Okay, but I'm telling
I
you
wouldn't
that's
treat
This
you
is
the way
like
the
just
world
standard
is. We don't
hospital.
look for help. Why should we give help to others?
This is Zena. This is your father's book, the Satanic Bible. I mean, this is it. This is the diatribe of the devil that has brought together thousands of people in your belief system. I dip my forefinger in the watery blood of your impotent, mad Redeemer and write over his thorn-torn brow, the true prince of evil.